I, 32 female, met my sister-in-law, Mary, 32 female, in uni. We were assigned flatmates who really enjoyed cooking and baking together and became best friends. She actually introduced me to her brother John, 35, whom I dated and eventually married 8 years ago. We have 2 kids, a toddler and a kindergartner. Mary was thrilled for us. She had a close relationship with John and remained best friends with me. John is very intelligent and a bit competitive in nature, so he naturally went into an intense career field. Unfortunately, he turned to alcohol to cope with his intense job. He started seeing a therapist who helped him identify his triggers. He drank less, and then he quit therapy, thinking he was fixed. He started it again after a while. He did the find a therapist, control his problem, quit therapy, process time over 5 years. Each time he'd make promises and agreements. We had 2 kids along the way. The first before I realized how serious the problem was, and the second after he agreed to quit completely and get fully sober. He went back on that promise and said he wanted to be in control and only have 1 to 2 drinks a week. He never got completely sober. He'd flake out on promises to the kids and me. He'd go out with friends who encouraged him to drink and have 2 to 3 drinks and then start buying bottles of vodka and gin again. Finally, after the 3rd time he quit therapy, I gave him an ultimatum: get sober or I was leaving him and taking the kids. I followed through with it. Mary and I stayed best friends after college, but John asked me to keep his secret from his sister the first time and didn't want her to think he had a problem. He was my husband, so I agreed if he worked on staying sober. When I divorced him, it appeared to be out of the blue to Mary and their parents, who couldn't understand why I would up and leave her brother and adamantly take the kids, only letting him have visitation. Mary blamed me for the divorce and wanted to end our friendship, so I told her the truth, that I loved him and still do. Still, I wasn't willing to spend the rest of my life and ruin my kids' childhood, setting ourselves up for disappointment over and over again when he wouldn't stay in therapy or stay sober. Mary was horrified after I told her about everything. She got very emotional when I admitted to her how often I let myself get excited about plans her brother had made with the kids or me, only to be flaked on when her brother poured himself a drink after work. She wanted to give John a piece of her mind and asked him to get his act together. John's now extremely upset at me for spilling a secret that I promised I'd keep, because Mary's image of him is now rubbish, and his parents are disappointed in him too. I think I had a right to explain myself to my best friend, and I no longer have the promise to keep after he broke his end of it. Am I the idiot? You are not the idiot. What did your ex-husband expect? That you take the blame for the divorce that happened because of his actions? To keep his reputation clean? What has he done to deserve that? No, you shouldn't be expected to keep such a secret on his behalf. Keeping a secret is a form of enabling. It hurts everyone involved. You did nothing wrong and may give him a nudge to seek actual sobriety. I truly hope your husband finds his way to real sobriety, but you can't make him if he's not ready. You have to take care of yourself and your family. Oh no, the consequences of his actions. He thinks everyone else needs to sacrifice for his actions. Truth is truth. No, he does not get to manipulate and shame you after years of broken promises. You did not deserve to lose a friend over the consequences your ex-husband chose. He's upset he was caught. Of course Mary's opinion of him is rubbish. His behavior is rubbish. I hope he cleans up someday. Until then, the best of luck to you and the kids. Was his drinking actually detrimental to your family dynamic in a significant way? Or did you just not like the fact that he drank to begin with? I know a lot of people who have a drink after a stressful day of work, and I also know a lot of people who can handle their stuff and don't immediately turn into vile monsters when they have a few. If you're the one with the issue, and his behavior was otherwise fine besides having a drink after work, you are the idiot. You should have been more supportive of your husband. I, 25 female, have a fraternal twin sister, and I'm getting married next fall. We were very close growing up, until high school. She was an outgoing, bubbly cheerleader and I was a shy, nerdy bookworm, so she ditched me for the popular kids. She didn't actively pick on me, but she'd stand by with her head down and do nothing when they bullied me. She'd talk to and hang out with me at home as if nothing was wrong, but when at school or at the mall, where the kids at our school were likely to be seen, she didn't want to be seen with me. When we turned 16, she had a big bash, but I didn't have any friends, so I didn't want to try and have a party. Our parents were making her include me, but she discreetly offered me $100 to pretend I was sick. I took the money because I really didn't want to go to a party where I'd at best be ignored, or worse, picked on. We went to separate colleges across the country from each other. She tried to keep in touch, but I ignored her because I was very traumatized by losing my sister and best friend. I would be polite to her at home during the school breaks, but kept her at arm's length. Anyway, I don't want her to be a bridesmaid, let alone maid of honor. My parents thought it'd be a good compromise to just have her be a regular bridesmaid. My big from my sorority will be my maid of honor, and my fellow littles, who had the same big, will be my bridesmaids. I reluctantly said she could be a guest at the wedding, but not a bridesmaid. If it were entirely up to me, I wouldn't invite her at all, but that would cause more drama in my family than it's worth. I told them, but what would other people think if she was seen with me? She cried. She never apologized, but she thought just because it was long ago, I should let bygones be bygones because she was young and immature. And my parents agreed with her. But I had to be in therapy for years because of her. Why should I have someone as a bridesmaid who thinks they're better than me? Am I the idiot? The only thing OP's sister is sorry about is that she's not allowed to share the stage and thus try to steal the spotlight on OP's special day. Not the idiot, OP. Your sister showed no remorse for how she treated you during your teens. She even went so far as to pay you to not be at her sweet 16. Oh, boo-hoo, the spotlight's not on you. It's probably eating her up inside. The people standing next to you on your special day should be the people you feel supported by. Honestly, if you were in therapy, be strict with your parents and tell them that she's uninvited. Is it worth having someone like that on your happiest day to date? In my opinion, just use your shiny spine and offer $100 to say she was sick and not come. It's your wedding, so you decide what you want. Also, your parents and sister need to realize actions have consequences. And honestly, your parents should have fixed her behavior in high school. But what would people think if the more popular sister wasn't in the wedding? Clutches pearls. It's more about them and appearances at the wedding. Don't let them bully you as they did your sister. The victim's still being asked to sacrifice her happiness for sister. Say no and mean it. $20. I bet she'd try to upstage the sister by being more outgoing and popular than the bride. I'm a 21-year-old female who recently welcomed my own child into the world, and I've been pretty emotional since. My mother always encouraged me to express myself and be independent, and got me into things like art and swimming. We were super close. My dad wasn't amazing towards my mother. He decided who she saw, what she ate, how she dressed, but they separated when I was 12, and his behavior didn't change how he treated me because he was a great dad. Until I was 16 and he passed away. He was still trying to rekindle his relationship with my mother and improving via therapy. I know it wasn't her job to forgive him, but my dad fully believed she was his soulmate, and up until his death, he was apologizing and trying to get better for her. 4 years ago, my mother got with Candace and came out as bi. She said her parents wouldn't have accepted her, but now she has nobody to hide from. I would have accepted it, but then 2 years ago they had a son, and they're talking about another child. I did ask my mother if she felt a little too old to be bringing another child into this world, younger than her granddaughter, and she said in front of my husband and in-laws, "You're never too old when you're with your soulmate." I did get upset. I said that's a little insensitive when she never considered my father her soulmate. Considering everything, he always tried to get better for her, to support her, and even if she didn't believe that, she shouldn't have said that in front of her child, especially when she's been with Candace for 4 years versus her first love, the 15 years she was with my dad. She went silent, and the meal was awkward. My husband apologized on my behalf, and I told him not to. My mother's new partner called me a massive narcissistic idiot and left. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. So your mom is just supposed to forget that your dad treated her like the pile of dog crap he had the misfortune of stepping in, just because your dad finally got his act together? He was controlling and abusive and only walked that behavior back when he realized your mom wasn't bluffing about leaving him in the rear view. That's not a soulmate. You acknowledge that your dad was abusive to your mother, but you're bitter that she finally found someone who truly makes her happy? What the heck is your problem? Let me tell you something. She doesn't owe your dad crap, okay? She's happy now and has found her soulmate. And if you can't be happy for her, then that's too bad for you. But you don't get to make her feel bad for it. Wow, you owe your mom an apology. I'm surprised she resisted all those years with him. She probably did it for you. She was probably afraid that your dad would manipulate you, which he did, with all the "I'm trying to be better for her, but she won't take me back," laying the blame at her feet instead of admitting his own fault, and more importantly, not putting you in the middle of their problems. Your mother deserves to be happy and with someone who loves and respects her. I have a feeling that living with your dad was much worse than you describe, which sounds bad enough as it is. Grow up. I, 52 male, have a wife, 46, a daughter, Emily, 29, and 2 sons, 18 and a teen. We adopted our daughter when she was 12, so we've not known her as long as my sons. We operate a small grocery store in the area, and our finances are relatively okay. When my daughter turned 18, we offered her to stay with us and help out with the store, but she didn't want to do that and chose to go to college out of state. I can understand, as it was a prestigious school. We did not pay for her education, but she never asked and seemed to manage fine. I think she got some grants but also took some loans, which I assume were forgiven or paid off. I don't know her finances, but she seems to be doing well. She's worked for many large tech companies, recently got a nice house. Not super large, but very modern and new. Drives a nice car and dresses really fashionably. She has no partner or kids, so I assume she can save a lot. We've always been on good terms. I bought my elder son a car when he was 17, planned to do the same for my younger son, and help them both out to get a start in life by paying for their college and giving them a down payment for a house each. My daughter never complained about not getting these, and she had a good childhood since we adopted her and a nice house to live in. However, she recently learned of our intentions to give my elder son a down payment when he finishes college, and ever since, while we still see her and even go to her place, my wife and I feel like she's acting curt towards us, so I think there might even be some resentment. But I don't see how I could help her since she already has these things, doesn't plan to have kids, unlike my sons, and is much more likely to earn more from her major than my sons, unless they take over our store someday. Obviously, our bond is a little different since she was adopted as an older child, but we still love her like our own. Am I the idiot? But we still love her like our own? Do you, though? You don't treat her the same as you do your biological children. The fact that you think this person, who you chose to adopt, should just be grateful to have had a nice house to grow up in, while your other children get all sorts of things that you never gave her, is awful. You are the idiot. My parents set me down and told me that they couldn't help me with college or even trade school after high school and to figure it out on my own. So be it. I worked my butt off, got a full academic scholarship, and have been independent since I was 18. My sister got her college paid for after dropping out twice, a month-long trip to Europe, a new car, etc., etc., etc. Do you think I'm not resentful nearly 30 years later? But we still love her like our own? Signs point to BS. I was weirded out after he said, "We adopted our daughter when she was 12, so we haven't known her for as long as our sons." That's such an odd way to say that. Actually, gotta wonder if he loves his younger son less than his older son, since he's known him for 2 fewer years. Maybe he just wanted a live-in babysitter for his kids. They seem to treat her like a commodity, not their daughter. You are the idiot, OP. And how can you say with a straight face that you love your daughter as much as your bio kids is beyond me. If you want to make a credible case for fairness or equal treatment, get out your checkbook and start making payments to your daughter until you get to equality. Update. No need to flame me. We didn't think of these things, as she was already an adult when we made these decisions. I will talk to my wife and consider talking to my daughter about helping her with her mortgage. We really do get along well with our daughter, and I'm proud of her. She's a smart woman, went to a prestigious school, got a perfect GPA there, and has an excellent job. My son's also had the option of running the store, but she's the one who got us considering college, and I'd not realized how much more it costs now than in my time. I, female 19, have an older sister, 30. She has 3 kids, female tween, young male child, and male kindergartner. I have to babysit a lot for my sister as she's a single mom. She's also disabled and has to go to many doctor's appointments and treatment sessions at the hospital. Recently, I was babysitting while my sister was at a hospital appointment. My niece, who we'll call Sky, was getting really angry as her younger brothers kept asking if they could play games on her phone, even though she told them no. I told them to stop bugging her or they'd go into timeout and got them to go do something else. Around an hour later, they started bugging Sky again, and she lost her temper and started screaming at them and said if they didn't stop asking her to play on her phone, she'd break it. They thought it was really funny and kept pestering her. I tried to calm Sky down, but she threw her phone out of the window while we were on the 2nd floor of the house. The phone was broken, and I explained what had happened when my sister got home. She's now upset with me and said I should have stopped Sky from breaking the phone. She's now asking that I pay to replace the phone, as it was expensive, and she thinks I could have prevented it from getting broken, but didn't. I think my sister's being unfair, and I shouldn't have to pay to replace the phone. Not the idiot. If she's old enough to have a cell phone, she's old enough to have consequences for intentionally breaking it. You tried to calm her and she didn't listen. It's not your fault. As a parent, if my kids were in that situation and one deliberately broke their phone, it would clearly be the child's fault, not yours. You did a good job trying to de-escalate the situation. Sky would no longer be allowed a phone if I were her mom, as she's not acting mature enough to take care of one. I do wonder if it was at all helpful to try to calm her when OP could have tried to get the boys to stop. The kid acted irrationally because she was cornered. OP sat back and let it play out. I still say they're not responsible for paying for a new one, but wow, why were those kids never actually put into timeout? Why was that an empty threat? Agree, OP's the idiot. I want to make sure I understand something. You, an adult, watched as the boys repeatedly harassed their sister and basically did nothing to stop them? I mean, yeah, you distracted them the first time, but you said that they found her threat funny and intentionally kept harassing her, and you didn't stop them. Why didn't you take the phone away? Why didn't you put the boys in a timeout for the 2nd time? Why did you let them harass another child? LOL, sounds like you're babysitting for free. If she wants you to pay for a new phone, she should pay you for your work. A tween should not have an expensive phone. Your sister's redirection of her anger about her daughter's tantrum towards you is inappropriate. This is a life lesson opportunity for the daughter. The sister should make the daughter earn a less expensive refurbished phone.